Everything you want is outside your comfort zone. I've learned that in my own life, and I've certainly seen that in those people that I've mentored and those that have been successful. You will do a lot of things outside your comfort zone. So I received an email and this week that I wanted to read to you, and also want to read to you the reply of that. Hi, Bruce. Thank you for sharing Chris's letter. Hearing him talk about his troubles with escapism was like looking into a mirror. I'm glad he is on the other side of this. And he is on the other side of that. I'm still working on this, but your video felt like a godsend. Hearing that someone has experienced something similar and is on the other side is like light at the end of a tunnel. Now, he's at the other side of that, but he still is struggling with some things, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. The older I get, the more I realize the biggest battle is with self. Best, Ruben. And that is true, Ruben. Thank you for that. I wrote back that a lot of mentees think that they're the only ones having problems like this, and that you may feel broke, busted, and disgusted. And I don't know if you do or not, as I said, but it's not uncommon that people feel that way, and they think they're the only one. So I ended up this week including some people in the VIP mastermind, and one of those people ended up saying to me, I'm a nervous wreck to talk to you. Well, why? And so I don't know what he imagined was going to happen, but it's not uncommon that people are nervous and outside their comfort zone when they do this process, building a board, talking to heavy hitters, talking to lawyers and accountants, talking to financial institutions, talking to prospects. All those things are things they haven't done before. And if you think back on it, everything that you have done, I think the answer is everything that you have done, you sucked at it before you were good at it. And eventually, take walking for instance, you end up falling down, you end up getting up, and eventually, guess what? Most of us can walk. So you learn through doing, you learn through failing. But this week in the VIP Mastermind group that Chris is in, we talked about one thing that was outside their comfort zone. We do that each week and talk about that. It's a way that you can begin to expand your comfort zone by doing something outside of it. So he said that he was joining Toastmasters, and that really was something that was outside his comfort zone. He had done it before, but then hadn't done it. Surprisingly, for us on the call with him, and I guess there were 10 people, he seems very comfortable. Now, he doesn't feel that way, but he seems that way. And I said to him, do you feel that same anxiety in this group? And he said, in the beginning, yeah, I did, but not so much anymore. And then 3 or 4 people also commented that cold calling was outside their comfort zone, or public speaking was outside their comfort zone. So think about public speaking, Toastmasters. And one of the things I did was I looked for the fears that people have. And I wanted to go through that because it's pretty eye-opening. So if you look at people, and this has been done by surveys, 75%, top of the list, 75% have a fear of public speaking. 60 to 70% financial problems, 20 to 30% deep water, 20 to 30% fear of death, 20 to 30% loneliness, 5 to 10% heights. Well, I'm kind of surprised at that. Most people that I've encountered are afraid of heights. Insects and bugs, 3 to 15%. Dogs, 3 to 7%. Fear of flying, 2.5 to 6.5%. Pretty accurate on that, I think. Fear of sickness, 4 to 6%. But the one that sticks with me is public speaking, 75%. Fear of death, 20 to 30%. Depending upon what your beliefs are, when you're dead, you're dead. No coming back from that. Public speaking, I have never met anyone who died from public speaking, but 75% are afraid of that, and 20 to 30% are afraid of fear of death. Just think about that for a second. And so, why is that? Public speaking, people are afraid, well, I'm not going to come off well, I'm going to make a mistake, I'm going to feel embarrassed. If you have done public speaking, in the beginning, you're going to be feeling that way. After a while, you'll be very comfortable with that situation. And a lot of that is if you have the experience behind you that you've done it and nothing bad happened, or you know more about the subject than everybody else, those fears begin to go. But you get through and expand your comfort zone by doing things you're uncomfortable with. When I talk to people about building a board of directors, most are terrified of, and that's the word they use, terrified, of making those calls, having those discussions with big hitters. And then they find that most of the time, those are some of the easiest calls that they have because those big hitters aren't asking them the questions that the lower level people, if you will, how are you going to get the money? How are you going to finance it? The big hitters are interested in why is this important to you? What are you going to do differently than everybody else? And as someone once encountered, why is the world a better place? Because of what you're doing, because they want to make an impact on that. So think about what you're doing. You know, I've talked to and mentored a lot of people. A lot of those people have been very successful. Some haven't, obviously, but the ones that have, and I think about someone like Gabriel that now has 48 locations in less than 5 years since I first met him and started mentoring him. His life has changed. From the beginning, he did a lot of things outside his comfort zone, and his comfort zone was pretty wide. But having your chairman resign the day before a board meeting, but he still went forward and was confident he could do that. Having 14 LOIs blow up in his face, and he could still do that. And he wrote to me some time ago, and I said, I was really glad to see your success. And he said, it wouldn't be like that without you, Bruce, and I really mean that. Now, did I help him? Yes, I did help him. Was I a voice in some of the times that he had problems? Yes, I was. And that's the other thing to realize. If you put together a board around you, if you put together advisors, you're not alone in this. And think about the fact that you've attracted those people to you. They saw something in you. Maybe you don't see that in yourself, but they saw something. Now that Gabriel is 48 locations into this, do you think he's comfortable talking to the next person who's a prospect, talking to the next financial institution? Yes, he is. Because he knows what he's accomplished, and he knows what's been successful, and he knows what he can do and has done. And so if you can get to the point that you feel that this is a venture that people would be lucky to be involved in, and if you can believe that, and affirmations certainly help that, that's the reason we do those, and that's firmly part of your thought process, then it becomes much easier to do the things that you feel uncomfortable with, knowing that that is going to be the end result. That's going to be where you end up. And it makes it much easier to include those people that you talk to. And again, to convince yourself, this is a hard club to get into. You're going to be fortunate to be into this. I'm interviewing you. I'm not just begging you to join. Same thing is true with financial institutions, lawyers and accountants, et cetera, et cetera. So think about why you're uncomfortable. Realize that you are not the only one that is uncomfortable. Most of us are uncomfortable until we're not uncomfortable. Or we are still going forward even though we're uncomfortable. And at the end of that, you'll say, usually, that wasn't as bad as I dreamed it up. We have a tendency to let the negative thoughts pop into our head and imagine a situation that 95% of the time isn't going to happen. So I hope that helps to realize that the comfort zone can be expanded. You do that by taking action, doing things you're uncomfortable with, learning from your mistakes. And at the end, if you truly believe you're going to build something that is of a size that you will be very happy with, this is a price, pay price to action, and do that. So I hope that helps. I hope you will work on expanding your comfort zone and to realize that you are not alone, that everyone has that situation. They work to get through it. And at the end, those that succeed are very happy that they did push their comfort zone. And I want to include something that I saw a long time ago. I read this quote, I decided 4 or 5 years ago to have it created as an image, and I want to read it to you. Imagine if hell was having to watch an endless movie of what your life could have been had you put in the work to achieve your dreams. That had a big impact on me. And when you're thinking about your comfort zone, when you're thinking about making the calls, having the meetings, think about that. So I'm going to include that image now. Print it. If you want the image, just email me, bruce@whipple.com, and I'll be happy to send it to you. But for me, that was very motivational to make me take the actions that I needed to take to be successful.